Welcome to the Holistic Wealth and Health Podcast. Your co-hosts, Jason Smith and Bryan Bibbo, will inspire and teach you how to prosper in your mind, body, and spirit, not just your financial life. Joining forces with field experts, Jason and Bryan are here to help you focus on what matters most in your life, living well.
Hello, and welcome to the Holistic Wealth and Health Podcast. I'm Jason Smith, and today Bryan is here with me. Normally, it's either I'm interviewing somebody or you're interviewing somebody, but
the team's back together.
that's right. How you doing, Bryan?
Good, but let's stop for a second.
Yep.
What's with the glasses? What happened? The last time I saw you, all of a sudden you show up with glasses?
Bryan, this is the thing, man. It started in my early 40s. It was like I noticed myself squinting, and then all of a sudden I'm increasing the size of the font on my iPhone, and I'm pulling out my phone flashlight in the restaurant, looking at the menus, trying to read it. I'm like, what's going on? I get out, sure enough, I go and I get reading glasses. And then this is like 5-6 years ago, and then I lose them. I never have them handy. It's a pain in the butt. Go back, and you know what? I even need them more. Right there, you go. My font size is maxed out. I got these progressive where I can see normal looking out and down. They're reading glasses, which is cool and fun.
Yeah.
It's my new look.
Father time's undefeatable.
Speaking of getting older, right? Today's topic, what we're going to talk about, is the family estate organizer, which is, I would say, it's really a staple of the bucket plan, right? A holistic wealth management process and key component, right?
It's a staple of the whole financial planning process. It's a staple to family, it's a staple to friends. It's a staple in both of our situations too,
Right.
You and Holly have one.
Yeah.
Amanda and I have one. We're updating it every once a year, essentially. The first week in January, Amanda and I sit down and we update the whole family estate organizer. I know we'll dive into more of the details here today, but it's just been crucial, especially when one person in the family handles the finances, right? Like in my case, I do,
Right.
or like a single individual, only they know their finances and the kids might not know what it is, but it plays into having kind of that team approach when it comes to legacy planning. Hey, the surviving spouse knows what's going on. Or, you know what, your beneficiaries, the charities that are near and dear to your heart, knows what's going on.
As you know, I'm a client of J.L. Smith, and that is all managed, right? My financial, tax, legal, insurance, all looked after. But at the end of the day, Holly actually organizes everything. So the interesting thing for me, the family estate organizer almost is more crucial for me, because if something happened to Holly, like, she knows where everything is. She's the one who organizes everything. I would just be completely lost as to where to go, where everything is. And luckily like I said, I'm a client of the firm. So they have a background of everything, but key, important, crucial documents and information that is really in that binder, I'd be lost if something happened to Holly.
No doubt. And let's just give the audience kind of,
what is it, right?
yeah, what is it and what's in it? We're talking about it, but let's break it down a little bit. So what the family estate organizer is essentially is a binder that holds all of the important documents. So you start with the bank accounts, investment accounts, Social Security, pension statements, life insurance, healthcare documents, property documents, legal documents, tax returns. Some people keep their passwords in there. I know the world has evolved a little bit more with passwords. I think you're the same thing. I have a password keeper,
Right.
actually, that has all that data in there.
Vaults.
An online vault, but I still have that master password in there that says, hey, go to this online vault to access all that data. But essentially what that family estate organizer does, it's a one-stop location for all of those documents. Every year, you're updating it.
Birth certificates, marriage license, passports, kind of anything important, right?
You know how crucial that's been for me?
Yeah.
It's because whenever we're traveling or Amanda needs a passport, she knows exactly where's to go. Yeah. Or my son just did his reconciliation over the weekend at the church.
Yeah.
And we need the baptism certificate, this and this to get that done. And it's all in one central location. So all those documents, and especially those important one-time documents that you have about your life, are all in that one location.
Yep. And and that's the thing. A lot of this stuff you can keep online. And obviously, like I said, J.L. Smith, I'm a client of the firm. They have copies of a lot of this stuff. For a lot of it, you need originals and you want the originals, and you want to know where everything is. And also it gives the husband and wife, almost like what you just described with Amanda, like a mutual filing system almost, or like it's one central point of truth of where everything important is in an organized way. But also, if one spouse passes away, the surviving spouse knows exactly what's going on. They're not completely lost. And then even is important for a lot of people when the second spouse passes away, right? The kids are not taking a week off work, rummaging through drawers and file cabinets. And
we've all heard those stories.
Yeah, trying to figure it out. It's all right there, and they know exactly where it is and what to do.
Yeah, so it's, Jason, to your point with the legacy side of things is what we're transitioning up to here. How important is it for that legacy planning side of things for the surviving spouse or the beneficiaries or the charitable organizations? There's a lot impact in there. We have a survivor's checklist in there. So it's a 1 to 2 page document that just says what the survivor needs to do. And that survivor could be a surviving spouse. That could be a child. That could be the executor of your estate, right? And it's just giving those instructions to whoever that is about the legacy planning and what the next step are.
Right.
So that's a crucial document there. And there's another one.
Yep. The family succession plan.
Exactly. So we have the family succession plan in there too. And it's just that turnkey process that we have at JL Smith that's telling the client or the beneficiary what are the next steps, what do they need to do, how do they follow, how is this money supposed to transfer to the next generation, or if it's the surviving spouse.
And that family succession plan can take a lot of very expensive work off of the attorneys. And if they do have a CPA that they work with, separate from JL Smith, right? Because I think most of our clients, we do the tax planning, management, and preparation. Some of our clients have longstanding relationships with CPAs that they continue to work with them as well. But sometimes those hourly rates can really rack up where we already have it all organized in the binder. We're the one that built it in conjunction with the client. We have record of everything. We can take a substantial amount of work off of expensive hourly rates that they could be paying to other professionals.
It's really what, to summarize it up, it provides that seamless transition, right? It provides that seamless transition for the legacy planning. Now, why we're living, just to summarize it, is what a great binder to have where all that stuff's in, where we have that, hey, I need this. My wife's car, I don't know if I told you this, but the transmission went kaput. All of a sudden, it had 110,000 miles on it. We wouldn't figure the transmission goes, and we need to figure out what's going on with the car. It didn't make sense to fix it. So where's the title at? Same place. So right now, it's a great filing system, one central location, but also many decades from now, when God calls our time, hey, guess what? My daughter's going to be taking this, and she has the legacy plan already built out for her. She can look at the legal documents, the trust that's in place, so on and so forth.
And listen, like people are saying, I got a file cabinet, I got a pretty good file system. Like, you're going to keep that in place. You're going to, when new statements come in, you put it in the binder so it remains up to date. And the binder is probably going to be right there where your file cabinet is. We suggest a fireproof safe is the best place. But so you put the new stuff in, you put the old stuff right back in the filing system, just like you did. It's really not any extra work. You just have one place that has everything that's current and important, right? All accessible in one binder.
And Jason, if I had to look at your filing cabinet compared to mine, right? 2 different filing systems, right? People's brain works different. So it's great to have that filing cabinet. But I've heard the stories of, oh, my father's no longer with us and I'm going through his filing cabinet and I don't know what's enforced and what's not enforced.
Right.
So the key thing, like that you just said there, is you're putting the most recent statements in this family estate organizer. You might have a life insurance policy you cashed out that's in your filing cabinet. Do you really want your kid calling on something that you cashed out 10 years ago?
Right.
That's why that's so crucial. I get the filing cabinet system. We all have that. But the family estate organizer is the updated version of that. Some people like to keep 30 years worth of data in a filing cabinet.
Yeah.
You want someone to look through that?
Yeah, they don't know what to keep, what not to keep. It's a central point of truth. Bryan, I know I've told you the story, but it's probably been a number of years since you've heard it. And it's how the family estate organizer originally came to be, right?
Let's hear it.
And this is 20 years ago or more. And I was doing an annual review with the client. This is when I still saw clients at their house, right? And so I was going out to meet with the husband and wife, and the appointment got booked by my assistant. I show up, and I hadn't seen her in about a year. And unfortunately, I did not realize, it wasn't note at the time, 20 years ago, we didn't have the systems we have in place now where we get notified if someone passes away, right? Have Google alerts set up and different things of that nature. Well, her husband passed away, and I didn't realize it. And it had just happened about 3 months before. And she had insurance with us, but they had a lot of business that they did with banks and other outside investments and et cetera. So I sat down with her, and she had shared with me her husband passed away about 3 or 4 months before, and she was completely frozen, right? She did not know what to do. She hadn't done anything. He took care of everything. And to the point where she didn't even open up the mail, the statements, right? I'm like, listen, I want to help you out. I really want to help you out here. And she was really like, didn't know what to do. Just very, like I said, frozen still. 3, 4 months later, I said, you know what? I'm going to go to Office Max. I'm going to buy a 3-ring binder and a hole puncher and with the color tabs, and we're going to get everything organized. And I'm like, just get everything, get all the statements, everything else. So I go to Office Max. I come back with the binder, with the table of contents, with the 3-hole punch, and she brings out a black garbage bag full of statements and dumps it on the middle of the table. I'm like, all right, clear my afternoon, right? Yeah. And so sure enough, I did. I stayed there, and it took us a few hours. We opened every single thing. And I asked her, I said, do you have any idea what you guys have, right, in regards to assets that you and your husband were able to accumulate? She's, Jason, I have no clue. Like, no clue. My husband took care of everything. We never talked about it. I really don't even know what our situation is. She's, I bet you we have a couple $100,000. So I wouldn't be surprised. And so all said and done, it was over $1 million. It was like $1.5 million. Yeah. It was like amongst 6 or 8 different banks. There were different insurance companies or investments. There was all kinds of stuff. It was all over the place. And so we 3-hole punched everything, organized everything, called on all the beneficiaries, got all the beneficiary designations up to date, got it all organized, got it all documented into an asset sheet, which is a 1-pager that and and she was just like blown away, right? Completely blown away, literally in tears.
The value you provided.
Yeah. Like so much peace of mind that she was going to be okay. She knew now that everything was going to be okay when she passed away for her kids. And it was like, I had this massive epiphany. Everybody I work with going forward is getting a family estate organizer. Back then, we just called it the binder.
A wife going through mourning, and that, like, they're frozen in time.
Yeah.
It's so important. It just seems like a simple binder, but it also brings everyone on the same page. And one of the things that we encourage our clients to do is when we sit down is, hey, from time to time, bring your beneficiaries, bring the person that's in charge of your trust to the appointment so they can also see what's going on. They can understand this family estate organizer, or at a minimum, just show them where the family estate organizer is. I have a client years ago, unfortunately, she told her son, Aaron, multiple times, go see Bryan. And he's, eventually I'll get there. Eventually I'll get there. She goes, you know what, Aaron, here's where this family estate organizer is. If something ever happens, go see Bryan. And some years went on. Sandy ended up eventually saying to her son, Aaron, she goes, you're going to end up seeing Bryan at my funeral, and it's not going to be a good thing. Lo and behold, she passed away like 2 years after that. And I did meet him for the first time at the funeral, unfortunately, right? But he goes, Bryan, I should have met you sooner. I know where the family estate organizer is. That's how powerful this tool is. It seems so simple, but it can really move mountains for individuals, families, married couples, of what it can do for you guys on the organizational side of things and also on the legacy side.
Yeah. And it's powerful in a way that we've built this family succession plan, which is a step-by-step process of how to take the family through the entire, basically what we internally call is like the death claim process, right?
Right.
One spouse passes away, or the second passes away, you have to file multiple death claims across. There's just a lot of paperwork, a lot of administrative work, a lot of working with attorneys and the tax end of things and the insurance and with financial. And it's a heavy administrative burden, but by having it organized all in one place in the family estate organizer, and then having the survivor's checklist of exactly what they need to do right away. And then when they're ready, they call us and then we can start the process of the family succession plan. It just makes everything so much smoother. And listen, what if you and I die in a plane crash together, right? And we're the advisors with the client. The good thing is it's a documented process. The family estate organizer with the family succession plan, any other advisor that's been trained on the bucket plan and how to utilize the FEO, the family estate organizer, and has that process, which honestly, there's advisors all over the country that we've taught this process to that are part of our group that can plug in. So I think it gives the clients, I hear often, I've heard through the years, the clients are like, yeah, I had this guy draw up my trust, but he's like older than me. What happens if this guy passes away, right? And it's a little ambiguous, right? It's a little uncertain. All that uncertainty goes away when you have this in place.
But to your point, and really I want to share something that we haven't discussed yet, is like, I have these investments out there, but we also divide them by pre-tax investments, post-tax investments, tax-favored investments, because as we always say, not all money's taxed the same, right? So dividing that into different sections, and you go, okay, pre-tax, I've never paid tax on these dollars before.
Right.
Post-tax, hey, I've paid tax on the principal, but I owe tax on the gains.
Right.
And then, hey, tax-favored asset, your HSAs, your Roth, those kind of things is, hey, if I pull this money out, I'm not going to owe tax on it in the majority of situations. So that's also one aspect we bring, because a lot of people just go, hey, I have this basket of assets right here, but it's not all the same, right? And it's not all the same to the beneficiaries.
Right.
When you think about it, when beneficiaries inherit these different things, like all of a sudden, hey, my daughter inherits my pre-tax account. Does she owe the tax on it? Yeah, she does. And currently under law, if she inherits my post-tax account, she gets a step up in basis. And in the majority of scenarios, she doesn't owe tax on it. And then if we inherit the tax favorable assets, guess what? No taxes owed there too. There's some details to that, and we're making blanket statements here. But in the majority of the situations, that's how it works. So that's an important thing to know, because one of the things we always hear when it comes to legacy is, what does this mean to me, right? And this binder helps dictate like what it means to the surviving spouse or the beneficiary.
It's also 100%. And the other thing is, believe it or not, you might have millions of dollars, right? But at the end of the day, when the time comes and you suddenly pass away, simply what tab do you go to take care of the final expenses? What do you give to the funeral?
Yes.
Like how are those bills paid? What happens? Can I write a check out of their checking account if my mom and dad both passed away now? Do I got to pay the money out of my own account and then get reimbursed down the line? So simply just having that tab immediately when that happens, when the kids are pros, or the successor trustee, or the person that's handling all the affairs when they pass away, just going to that tab and pulling out the document or the information or the life insurance policy or the pre-feed funeral document, handing it over. Oh, it's just,
gosh, if you didn't just say one of the most powerful things is that final expense tab that's in there. Yeah. If someone passes, they're directly in there. What do they need to do? And to your point, hey, how do we pay for the funeral? How do we do this? What was their final wish? Did they want to be cremated? Right. Do they actually want to have a golden 24-karat casket? Who knows, right? But all that details in that section too. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a lot of aha moment, I'm sure, for the listeners going, oh, yeah, my filing cabinet is great, but I don't have that in my filing cabinet, right?
And the other thing is even long-term care, right? Like an event happens, and all of a sudden it's, wait, did mom and dad, did they have a long-term care policy, or they're incapacitated, or unfortunately they're at a point where cognitively, mentally, they're not able to explain everything the way that they should or could have earlier. Now you go to the tap and listen, whether they bought long-term care insurance or a lot of life insurance policies have a long-term care rider that can be accessed, or sometimes there's just a plan of this is what you need to do. This is what account you wouldn't want to liquidate first, going back to your tax favored or tax-free type of accounts. So just opposed to just, again, like how many times have you seen where the beneficiaries or the kids are paying out of pocket when mom and dad actually, there was some planning put in place. And so it takes away all the ambiguity and it makes it so much easier for the family to be able to take care of what they need to take care of.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of all your great ideas you're sharing is like, hey, mom goes in the hospital and she's going to have surgery. Who's the healthcare power of attorney? It's easily to be found in that binder.
Right.
All of a sudden, you know what? That surgery didn't work out too well. Mom's in the coma. How can I sign bills for her? The durable power of attorney's in there. Like those legal documents are inside this family estate organizer documents. So it's so crucial. Look at all the great things we're talking about that just comes out of, it's a simple binder. Great. But how much value is this provided? You can't even put a dollar tag on it.
Yeah. And just even to know, there's been so many horror stories that you and I have seen through the years where beneficiary designations are correct. And all of a sudden, an ex-spouse, right, ultimately gets a big chunk of money because it was not updated to the current spouse, or they had a state listed and didn't realize that, I got my wife listed as primary. All of a sudden, you two pass away very close to, or she predeceases you, or you pass away, and then ultimately she doesn't update it. And now all of a sudden the contingent beneficiary goes to the estate, and now it's frozen. Now it goes through probate, which is what you were trying to avoid.
Yeah, and that's the thing is those cases always come to us after this stuff has happened.
Yes.
And they're like, hey, can you help us fix it? Right? It's very hard to fix after the fact, right? Doing something simple as this family estate organizer, getting this in place, move mountains.
So I know as I think about it, what it became through the years is it became a way for us as the wealth managers to do it in basically audit everything they have and make sure every I's dotted, every T is crossed. Because when you build the family estate organizer, you are looking at their estate planning, legal documents. You're looking at taxes and what they got going on. Their most recent year's tax return goes in there. You're looking at that. You're looking at their financials, their insurance, whether they do have a prepaid funeral, whether they have any type of long-term care planning. You're looking at everything holistically and ultimately looking at beneficiary designations, making sure those get updated and are all the asset titling. If they have a trust, is everything funded in the name of the trust? Because ultimately, like a trust, right? And I used to use this analogy quite a bit. Like a trust is like a suitcase, right? And so what it is, it's almost like you put everything you own into your suitcase, and now there's keys to the suitcase. That's the trustee. They're the only one that has the keys. And then when the trustee passes away, the successor trustee now gets the keys and they can open up the suitcase and access everything inside of it. That's how a trust works. But listen, if you have an empty suitcase, if you don't fund everything, put everything in there, then ultimately the trust isn't going to work. It's just like almost a useless document. And too often people go to the attorney, get the trust drawn up. The attorney will say, make sure everything's funded in the name of the trust. Here's your instructions. And then a week goes by, a month goes by, a year goes by. They didn't dot all the I's, cross all the T's, get it funded. And so ultimately then the trust is useless. The estate goes through probate. It was like a waste of time and money to even draw up a trust.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I just ran into a similar case that get these legal documents done. Still hasn't gotten done, but we're going to get there. Don't worry. You can only push the camel to the water as much as you can to make them drink. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of what you said is that family estate organizer allows us to see the bigger picture. It allows us to cross those T's and dot those I's for you. And some people don't even realize some of the gaps that they have within their financial plan. But that's where we come into play as the trusted advisors to be able to provide that kind of value. Over the years, trust laws have changed and how IRAs go to beneficiaries. Like those laws are constantly changing. And when we have that family estate organizer, it allows us to be on top and keep you abreast of what is going on in this world and what do you need to change within your documents. If we don't see the bigger picture, how can someone give you the proper advice?
Right. Right. And Bryan, as we land the plane, let's relate it back to the bucket plan, holistic wealth management process, right? Discover, design, deliver, and you go into dedicated. Can you do a review of, where the family estate organizer fits and where that comes into play within those kind of 4 phases that you go through in the holistic wealth management process?
Absolutely. And as we know, like the discovery phase is that first meeting. We introduce the family estate organizer to you in that meeting
As
as a concept, showing you what it is, how it can provide value. Between that meeting and the next meeting, which is the design meeting, we're asking you to gather those documents, right? Bring those to the next appointment so we can see the bigger picture. We can provide the value. We can put that holistic financial plan in place. And as you bring in those documents in the design meeting, we are organizing your financial net worth. We're organizing your financial estate, looking at the bigger picture, putting it together. But the main thing there is behind the scenes after that appointment, we're starting to build it out for the client and build out the asset sheet that you said before. And it's just on the asset sheet, we're putting bank accounts, investment accounts, life insurance, property documents, every asset that you own in one central location. So what that allows us to do is just have one kind of track record of where are all your assets, what is your net worth. But then it takes us to that third phase is that delivery appointment, right? That delivery appointment is when you're getting that. We go over it together, we show you what we've done, what's in each tab. That's when we actually deliver it to you. You take it home, you put your arms around it. We encourage you, and we didn't talk about this yet, is, hey, probably have it in a fireproof safe, right? The crucial of that, because you might have titles in there, birth certificates, put it in something that no one can get to, fireproof safe. Hey, you can buy one for $200, $400, whatever it may be. But that's when we're in the delivery appointment, we're delivering the family estate organizer. The last phase is the dedication phase. When you come in and we're sitting with you, whether it be semi-annually, what are we doing? You bring that in and we're helping you update it.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff like the bank accounts we don't have access to, it's a little homework on your end, but the statements that we have, we easily update them. We put these in these nice sleeves where you can pull them in and out, shred the old ones if you don't keep them, but we're updating it in that dedication phase. So it's an ongoing process.
And we're educating the client on because a lot of people you brought this up earlier, they keep everything. When in reality, there's only certain stuff you need to keep. And so at the end of the day, you make it easier, not fill up file cabinets.
Even tax returns, they say keep for 7 years, right? That's usually what the rule of thumbs there of what you need to keep and how long you need to keep the stuff. But the main thing is it's a living, breathing, ongoing document, right? It's continually changing. Whether you're personally changing on your end, the laws are changing, or you know what? Someone is no longer with you, you need to change beneficiaries. All of those are reasons this thing is continuing to change. Life happens fast, as they say.
Right.
We got to make the changes.
Yeah. And sometimes some of the changes, for example, I'm recalling a situation not long ago where there was an in-law that wasn't really treating the daughter as well as they should have. So they wanted to guard against that if something were to happen to them. They did not want that money being available lump sum to that married couple, their daughter and their son-in-law.
Yeah.
And so we were able to put some planning in place where it didn't go out lump sum. It would actually be held in a separate trust where we'll only have access for certain reasons. And this is the important of really the essence of holistic wealth management, because you're looking at, and part of it is doing the review of the family estate organizer every year and listening to what's going on in the client's life and be able to provide additional levels of planning that are needed based on that life situation.
Absolutely. Anything else, Jason, that you think we didn't hit onto here today?
I think we were pretty thorough. This is great doing this together. And this is basically our end of year wrap up. I don't know how many podcasts we did, but it felt like a lot and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I can't wait to keep doing these next year.
Yeah, 2025 is going to be a great time. And I'm excited. We had so many great guests on the podcast this year. Very grateful for each and every one of you that have been on the podcast. And we got some great ideas coming into 2025. And thank you to all of the listeners, the audience, the viewers out there. We get a lot of great feedback from you, and it means the world to us. It really does. I'll hear from time to time, even this person I would never think would listen. They're like, oh, I listen to your podcast all the time. That just warms our heart. We greatly appreciate you. We wouldn't be here without you.
Absolutely. All right. See you in the new year.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Holistic Wealth and Health Podcast. We hope we inspired you to make changes so you can live your best life. If you want to find out more about what we do, or if you want to have a holistic wealth and health financial plan, please call 456-833-7000. Please subscribe to the podcast and share it widely with your friends and family. Financial planning and advisory services are offered through Prosperity Capital Advisors, PCA, an SEC-registered investment advisor with its principal place of business in the state of Ohio. J.L. Smith Holistic Wealth Management and PCA are separate, non-affiliated entities. PCA does not provide tax or legal advice. Insurance and tax services offered through J.L. Smith Holistic Wealth Management are not affiliated with PCA. Information received from this podcast should not be viewed as individual investment advice. Product discussions and illustrations are hypothetical in nature and will vary based on many factors, including, but not limited to, age, health, product, insurance carrier, and product design. You should consult the insurance carrier website and policy for detailed information. For information pertaining to the registration status of PCA, please contact the firm or refer to the investment advisor public disclosure website, www.advisorinfo.sec.gov. For additional information about PCA, including fees and services, send for our disclosure statement as set forth on Form ADV from PCA using the contact information herein. Please read the disclosure statement carefully before you invest or send money.